Hello, my name is Dante Renee, and welcome to the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more. Like tonight's film, 1975's China Girl. This is China Girl. This is actually starring James Hong, and this was very recently put out by Vinegar Syndrome, pre-ordered it on diabolicdvd.com. This is China Girl. Look at that amazing cover art right there. Mine has a little imperfection, some imperfections in the ink there, but this is the beautiful cover. And it says in the back 1974, IMDb says 1975. This stars a very popular 70s adult actress, Annette Haven. And of course, Mr. James Hong, Mr. Lo Pan, I believe, from Big Trouble in Little China. Of course, also the man who directed a movie that I reviewed in this YouTube page called Teen Lust, starring Kristen Baker. The embodiment of forbidden pleasure. This is China Girl. Wow, look at this. Look at this great stuff right here. You can see the just the artwork. I mean, this is the artwork that was happening back in the day, even for these high production X-rated films. So let's get into China Girl right here. I got some notes written on a little sheet of paper here because there was so much I wanted to talk about. So let's talk about it. Essentially, we have a serum, some sort of drug that can capture the mind. A doctor, secrets, the capture of the secrets of this serum, drugs, sexual torture, utilizing orgasms and the lack thereof to get answers, karate, twists and turns in the storyline, kidnapping, hidden cameras, orgies, animation, guns, murder, the game of backgammon, and an awesome Chinese restaurant. By the way, James Hong is working at the Chinese restaurant, and yes, he did a very similar role many moons later in the popular TV show Seinfeld. So very, very interesting, but just a great environment there. So let's look at China Girl. First off, the music in this film. You will know as soon as you push play on the movie that we have a very strong, sultry jazz bass to the music in this movie. It's sultry. You can hear the breath hitting through the saxophone with each blow. You know, that's sultry, elegant. It's elegant. It's moody. And as the sex erupts in a certain sex scene, the music erupts, the jazz erupts, the horns, the saxophones get crazier. You can hear the breaths as you hear the actors breathing more heavily. You can hear the breaths getting heavier in the saxophone of the score of the music. It erupts. What an eruption, really synchronized with the sexuality. Even the animated title sequence moves at times to the rhythm of the amazing jazz music that is playing here. The music really connects or guides the energy levels of the film, whether it be the acting in the sex scenes, the title animated sequence. And then we have moments of quietness in this film, of just utter quiet, can't even hear a footstep at times, and then all of a sudden a car is going down the street, and a big eruption of a horn or a saxophone kind of startles you in your chair as you're watching the movie. Bursts of jazz, and we also have dramatic music in here as well with a montage sequence. I also want to mention that in one of the orgy sequences, I believe it was women, there's just this unbelievable piece of music that was just resonating with me on an emotional level. It almost reminded me of another piece of music that I could never conjure up in my head or in my feelings, but it was almost there. And it had these different swirls of emotions and feelings. It was in one of the orgy sequences. I believe it was the orgy sequence. It was one of them with Annette Haven, and I can't think of the one right now, but just an unbelievably complex and interesting and emotionally interesting, nostalgic almost piece of music right there. But this is a very, very, the music represents the tone of the film as well. And not only connects and guides the energy levels of the film, of the action, but it also really sets the atmosphere for the whole movie, and it's just sultry, elegant, smoky jazz. And sexy jazz too. It's just sultry. All jazz is sexy, isn't it? I guess. In terms of the cinematography and the style of this movie, I mean, we have We have edits, really wild edits involving things happening simultaneously in the time scheme, kind of showing you what's happening back and forth. I thought that was really interesting. I thought it was kind of, it was well done. It felt good because you were kind of seeing two things happening at the same time. Sometimes people do that with split screen. Very rarely does that happen. But in this particular, case, we're getting a little bit over here and a little bit of, we cut to a little bit over there, and it kind of gives you this kind of this awesome awkwardness in a way, and this awesome artistic value to what's happening. We have some reverse zooms in this movie. We even get to this kind of authentic Chinese parade or festival in the movie, where we get some wild camera work. We have a hazy vibe to the film, kind of a sexploitation hazy vibe to this movie, yet very, very elegant. The sex in this film is graphic, explicit, it's real. It's X-rated, but it's elegant. You're not going to get the kind of X-rated sex in this film that you might see in another film that I reviewed in this YouTube page by Alex Lorenzi called Babyface. There's a marked difference in the tone, in the style, in the way that it's done, and Annette Haven really, really captures that in this film. The title sequence in this film has 70s animation, 70s colors to the animation, and it's wild and unhinged. And with the sultry jazz music playing and the title popping up on the screen with the font, it's freaking awesome. You even get it at the end of the movie as well. A beautiful flower love montage in this movie as well. This is a film where we have suspense and mystery and action and darkness and really Asian pulp exploitation. Late at night meets X-rated movie. That's really what we got going on here. And if you love that kind of stuff, which I do, I mean, I love the trauma film, Sergeant Kabuki Man, okay? You're really, at this point, you're probably like, well, I don't even know what you're talking about, but Sergeant Kabuki Man, and I love that Asian exploitation pulpy vibe to that film. And this one has, obviously more elegance and more of a serious tone, a darker tone. But it's like late at night, popping it on something weird, something very sexy. In terms of the sexuality of the film, the interesting thing is that we don't get the first sex scene in this film until about 20 minutes into the movie. But the opening title animation sequence is very explicit. And it's such an interesting vibe you can sense right then and there. The production value, the acting, everything is just great in this film. The bulk of the sex is in the middle of the movie with the torture sequences, quote unquote, and the looking for answers, the looking for the answers to the secrets of this drug, of this serum. We have one guy and multiple girls. We have one girl and multiple girls, and we have one girl and multiple guys, which is one of the wildest sequences in the film. We have some softer angles, and then we have some harder angles. You really get along for the ride for surprises with the sex scenes. You don't really know what you're going to get and where the camera is going to go at times, and at times it could almost feel like a softcore sexploitation film at times, and then all of a sudden we get a little bit harder, and there's not a shakiness to this camera. There's a lush elegance to the cinematography in this film. We have Annette, who just looks, if you've seen Annette, I mean, she is just very sexually attractive, has an amazing look. Her eyebrows are so interesting. Her skinniness really works for her. And we have this Asian girl as well, who I believe is the China girl in the film. And she is also attractive. We have expensive cars driving in this film, as if it's a giallo film where your vice is a locked door and I have the key, if you remember my review for that film. Just the way, it just reminded me of the cars kind of flying by, making these sharp turns. We have some talk of different philosophies in this film and sayings, Western philosophies, very interesting things in the film where we have a bit of different thoughts across the world, different belief systems and almost fortune cookie wisdom in some form or fashion. We have an awesome dancing strip tease scene where the woman's body is really moving in very interesting ways. The acting in this film is awesome. Of course, James Hong is unbelievable. He has a sequence of just menace and darkness and evil near the climax of the film that is just superb, and you're just completely captivated by its words. And there are portions of this film that is just dialogue and tension and suspense. And so it's a very, very unique X-rated film, and is something You know, if you are a lover, as my friend says, of offbeat cinema, and if you are a lover of unknown cinema and cinema that does not follow boundaries, then China Girl should be for you. If you are not prudish and you'll watch anything and you want to see something very different and you want to see what X-rated films can be and what they were. What they were. The professionalism and the seriousness of this film. We have Big Trouble in Little China vibes in this movie mixed with dark Asian pulp crime in this movie as well, which is very interesting. It's a very unique mix, as I said before. I mean, the cover art itself is just lush and captivating. And it is indeed. We have some torture, some mild torture sequences in this film, and it looks like we are predominantly, I believe, in New York, and we might travel to San Francisco in the film. So we have a variety of different locations. We have some very interesting, like I said, some plot twists, some turns. You don't know where things are going, and you know that the film is X-rated, and you saw the opening title sequence, and you don't know where the film is going. So you're kind of on the edge there with what's actually happening. It's a very interesting angle utilizing the explicit sex in the film within the storyline and the capturing of secrets. So it's a very interesting theme in this film of the mind, of capturing the mind. And I thought that was a very interesting theme in this movie of capturing the mind as opposed to the physical body, or to utilize the physical body to get at the mind, to utilize the sexuality of the physical body to capture the mind, especially in a sex film. And I found that to be very, very interesting. So this, ladies and gentlemen, as it says, the copyright in the back here from Vinegar Syndrome 1974, IMDb 1975, this is China Girl. And there's a reversible cover in the inside too as well, with an actual quote from Mr. Alex Dorenzi as well. Here it is, folks. Beautiful white Blu-ray case right here. And this is the first time I believe it's ever been on DVD. These are lost, unknown films, and I believe China Girl needs to be talked about more. So there you go. Thank you so much for watching the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more, like China Girl. Please feel free to check out all my other reviews in this YouTube page. These are just things that I just want to do. Please feel free to check out my own personal films that I make at youtube.com/poopydiarrhea. Thank you so much, and good night.